5. All right, good people. Welcome back to the All Things Fitness podcast. We explore all levels of fitness, mental, physical, and spiritual. We have another dope guest for you today, my man Frank Clayton. FC is in here. Now, I would like to run down everything he does, his professional background, and just how dope he is, but it's too much for me to put in my own mouth, so I'm going to let him do it. This brother here, man, like you saw last week with Kat or any other guests we have, like, I have a really dope circle. It's pretty dope for people I've been in touch with in my life, man. And all of us have pretty much met through the fitness space somehow, or people we knew in common, but it's grown into so much else. And just being able to observe these brothers, even from afar, we're all busy, we're all doing things. But the way that all of my guests have been able to live out their lives, man, I get to glean so much from them. And so the whole point of this show, no matter what bent they're coming from, is to share that same knowledge, access, and enlightenment with you that I've been able to get from them. So a little background for me, again, fitness space, we're both in there, but I actually met Frank more on the personal tip. So I've been able to see his background, his life, the way he lives out day to day. I was at this brother's wedding. So it was just, it's one of the dopest weddings I've been to, bro. Real talk. But yeah, beautiful wife, beautiful kids, beautiful family. You see how he's already on the camera smiling right now. This is Frank every day, man. Just living out a dope life, grateful for it, and always sharing how much of a blessing it is to have our lives day to day and just to be here breathing. So yeah, I can go on all day, but let me let Frank get into it. Frank, man, so let the people know what you do, your businesses, your business ventures, what you're involved in, man.
I appreciate it, Jay, man. Yeah, we've been rocking for a minute, man. So I really appreciate it, man. You always looked out, always been gracious. So thank you for having me on first. Let me say,
right on.
No small task to reach out and use the platform that you have to help people. So let me just give you your flowers now and say thank you, man.
Right on, bro. Yeah.
And always invited me in. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Frank Clayton Jr., currently a performance coach. Yeah, we definitely met in the fitness space, I'm somewhat transitioned out of the physical fitness. I still do a whole lot of it, but really in that mental performance space as a mental performance coach for athletes and adults and younger athletes and some adults, I should say. But yeah, hands in a lot of pots, man. Mainly a husband, father, all of those things, service of my church, and doing all that kind of work, man. So just really loving the people around me, my community. I'm a servant, man. I love to serve. I'm a servant leader in that capacity, and that's when I get turned on. I get fired up about being able to help other people because so many people help me, and so to be able to give back and do that, that's what I do on a daily basis. Yeah.
Right on. Okay. And I mean, as you can see, just how Frank is coming across, like everything he does comes out of him, right? So really being that servant leader, everything I see Frank doing is never self-serving or one-sided or purely a business venture or anything like that. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to get a little extra fame from this. Yeah, I'm going to get seen. I'm going to be able to build my business, but he's directly giving back to a community or to a certain group of people, or how can I help these people? And he's been able to build a life around that, which is the dopest parts of me, bro. Right? It's like you can go Mother Teresa if you want to, but it's hard, man. It's hard sometimes for people to grasp the idea like you can really build a profitable, sustainable, enjoyable life just by doing good.
Yeah, man. One of the greats, the guy I listened to, Dr. Jim Rohn, says his coaches used to tell him that the way you get everything you want is to help other people get everything they want. And I really try to take that to heart, man. Really figuring out, how can I put myself in a position to help others do what they want to do. And that's how I got into the fitness space, and now into this mental coaching space. But we do a lot of stuff, man, and people ask me all the time, like, how do you do this, that, and this over here, and this over here, and this over here? And the truth is, I do my best to make sure all of those things are in alignment. And so a lot of times the things that I do actually overlap just enough so that I'm not doing a bunch of things at once. I'm doing one thing really well at once that benefits another thing. And so that I'm not feeling like I'm spread super, super thin, trying to build up some different things.
Okay.
And we can
Okay.
get into
Yeah.
how that works and what that looks like on a practical level.
Okay. All right. So you're literally the way you're working everything is everything feeds into the next thing, into the next thing. And then okay, right
Right,
on. So it doesn't feel like you're doing 20 projects.
right, right, right.
Okay. Right on, right on. Okay, yeah, we're definitely gonna dive into that, man, because you already know how we're both wired, but I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there too that's like, I got all this stuff in my head, I got all this stuff in my heart and my spirit, I'm trying to get done, and it feels overwhelming,
Hmm.
right? But if you can figure out a way, which you're gonna show us today, how to actually get those things to line up and actually work and flow together,
Right.
right? Then you can still be, that present father. You can still be that loving husband, all that good stuff, even when you get home and not coming home feeling like, man, I'm so beat down. Give me a beer and let me pass out. That type of
Right,
thing.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Right on. Right on. Okay. All right. Cool. So I know we did the intro with Frank. We jumped into the episode here. Let me tell you guys what we're talking about. Today's topic is iron sharpens iron. All right. So if you're in your word at all, you already know that phrase. If you read any books by the same title, you've probably seen it. But when we're talking about iron sharpening iron, one of the things I love about Frank that I admire so much is that he's really tapped into and developed, cultivated his talent for interacting with people, building relationships, business, personal, whatever it may be, and having a bunch of win-win situations in his life. You know what I mean? So like whenever we talk about when we were on the fitness space, whatever we're doing, it was never a one-sided like, hey man, I got this idea, let me come do this, and it was serving him. It was something where we were both benefiting, or everyone in the room was benefiting, or we're gonna do this thing for the city of Oakland, or whatever it is, right? So to me, that's really a talent. Not everyone can do that. Not
Mm,
everyone has it innately in them to say, hey, how can we all work together and all flourish?
that's interesting.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are very just like me and my bubble. It is what it is, right?
Here in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
We've had that conversation about how the
Mhm.
culture is different in different places, and so we've always talked about dispelling that myth about of that isolation, those silos that we seem to be in the Bay Area, and so
Mhm.
we're doing a much better job than most, just as a community,
Mhm.
in making sure that we look out for each other.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, and really keeping that the focus, right? Because it's like it's easy with everything that goes into daily life. Like it's really easy to get bogged down and be like, oh, I gotta take care of this, I gotta take care of this, I gotta pay this, I gotta pay that, especially in the Bay. Like it ain't cheap out here, y'all. So, it's easy to get that tunnel vision, man. But really watching you dealing with Kat, dealing with Ryan, dealing with all these different brothers that we're attached to, it's like always trying to keep the main thing though, right? Like, why we even get into this in the first place? I didn't get into this so it could just be me by myself trying to be, big shot trainer. I'm trying
Right,
to help people.
right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So yeah, let's jump right into that, man. Let's talk about first and foremost the idea of social capital. So like what is your definition of it? How do you view it? And then what is the value of
Yeah, social capital. I was introduced to the idea, the concept, early on. And so just thinking about it, it's really, it's your network, right? For a simple word, your network, and not just your network. It is how much value you have brought to a community, so that that community is willing to support you, right? So it's just not the people you know. It's almost like you can call in the favors, right? You've showed up, you've invested time, you've done the things, you've shown yourself to participate in a reciprocal relationship, um, to a level that allows you to leverage those relationships. And then you can manifest, make things happen. And so that's really how I see social capital, as this bank, so to speak, of good value that you first have put out, that then comes back to you.
it? Okay. Okay. So the first step and the first key of building social capital is actually what you're bringing to the table.
Absolutely. It's like, what have you invested? Right? You've invested this, and that investment over time accumulates interest, and then that interest is what you use, right? That's the capital. You're able to
Mm,
use that, right? Because there's a lot of people who know a lot of people,
mm,
but have they done anything for the people, or can they will those people do anything for them? And
mm.
so the idea of social capital really is about the investment strategy of your time and energy to support others so that they then support you.
Wow. Got it. Got it. So you can really tell how a person has interacted with their circle over time by what they're able to now extract or maybe request of said circle.
Yeah, and it's not a one to one all the time. It's not a one to one like I help James out, so James helps me out. It's more of
Mm,
a way of living because I might have helped James out, and someone else might have saw how I helped you out, and they say, "Hey, I like the way you move. I want to help you out with this, that, and the other." And person you help may not ever do anything for you, but it's
true.
more of a lifestyle. It's more how you see yourself and able to how you show up. I think
Mm,
that energy uh, gives off something that other folks are willing to help individuals, and so that's,
okay.
like I said, that's my definition. That's how I kind of see the process of social
Mm,
capital.
okay. Okay. So really living out that lifestyle, making that your daily walk. And then, whether we want to get the scripture or anything else, just like if I'm walking this way, I now can expect that reciprocation from somewhere, right?
Right.
Like you said, it may not be Frank, but it might be somebody else, might be a client, might be whatever. Or like we see it in our businesses, right? So the better you treat your clients, the more referrals you're going to get, the better they're going to talk about you, the more apt they are to say, "Oh, go see Coach James, go see Coach Frank, whatever," based
Absolutely.
on their personal experience. Okay, okay, I got
Absolutely.
you. Right on, right on. Okay, cool. So that's social capital. That's obviously about a circle, or like you said, a way of life. How would you lay out for someone the best methods or the best strategies, whatever you want to call it, for building, maintaining, but also leveraging, because you're going to need to at some point leveraging those relationships that you cultivate.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's first, right? So how do you build social capital? Thinking about it, first is investing, is giving of yourself, right? That is the foundation, and giving of yourself to yourself, like knowing who you are, knowing what your purpose is, all of those things. It always going to start at home, right? It
Mm,
starts with you. We tend to treat people how we feel about ourselves,
mm,
right? We tend to treat people how we feel about ourselves. So if I'm loving on me and I'm taking care of me and I'm recognizing who and why I am, it's a lot easier for me to see you in that space because I'm coming through a place of love for myself. So then I can show up as love to you, right? If I got a lot of internal internal things going on, and then you come along and you represent some of that or you remind me of some of that, then our interaction might not be the same, right? Or it
mm,
might not be as pleasant, right? You may not even intend to offend, or you may not even intend to make me feel some type of way, but I might be filtering how I feel about me and projecting that onto you, right? So it really starts on the investment we make in ourselves.
mm,
That is so valuable because then you show up in the world, right? So that's step one, that investment in yourself. And then deciding how you want to show up in the communities that you are in,
mm,
right? So we have multiple communities, right? I got my community outside my home. I have my home. I have a school. I might be in school at the time. I got my workplace. All of those different things. All of those are different ecosystems, different communities. My church, how you can show up in those spaces, right? And maintaining those relationships. One of the best things I learned when I was younger to help me start and maintain relationships was uh, Reverend, I want to say Reverend Eloise Oliver taught me this.
Mhm.
It's seeing people as God sees them.
Mm. Wow.
Really recognizing that that is a unique expression of God. We may not agree
All right.
on a
All
lot
right.
of stuff, but that makes you no less a child of God than me.
Wow.
No less part of this whole future
Mm.
because I don't agree with you, or you
Mm.
don't look like me,
Yeah, that.
or your values are different, or
Mhm.
your heritage is different. So if
Mhm.
I can see you as a living, if I can see you, your spirit,
Mhm.
independent of your external representation.
Mhm.
So when I can show up and I recognize not only are you an expression,
Mm.
you're also part of the one.
Wow.
We're essentially the same.
Mhm.
And so walking around with that mindset,
Mm.
uh, there's no one I feel like I can't interact with.
Wow.
I'm talking to myself.
Mhm. Wow. Deep. Okay.
And so that keeps that helps, not keeps, it helps because it's a
Mm.
practice.
Mhm.
It helps me from being so quick to judge. It
Mm.
helps me from uh uh yeah, to being quick to demonize,
Mm.
right? And all of those things that keep us separated when we think about human interaction.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
a person is able to really focus on the spirit of that individual
Mm.
when they go into the mindset that this person is a unique expression of God.
Mm.
We are one and the same, and I can see their spirit as opposed to their external representation.
Mm. Mm.
So that
Okay.
has helped me so much. Just walk into rooms where people don't look like me,
Mm.
and so I don't have to worry about them not looking like me
Mm.
because they are me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Okay. I got you. I got it. So you're in varying situations and all these different ins and outs of life. It's basically getting down to the brass tacks basic point of I'm interacting with people,
right?
right? Like not this dude from East Oakland or this guy from North
Right,
Richmond or this guy from, Pacific Heights or whatever it is. I'm just interacting with people. All
right.
right. Right on. Right on. Okay. And I can imagine that allows you now to deal with each individual on an individual basis.
Correct. That's
Right.
so huge. Just being aware of how many boxes we were putting people in. Right. The
Mm-hmm.
fewer the boxes, the easier it is to deal with people. The more
Mm-hmm.
boxes, the more difficult. Because some boxes we don't. We have attachments to. Some boxes we have aversions to. Some boxes, right? And it's really about using awareness and discernment and all those things, right? You don't. You may not. Everyone is not your vibe. That's not what I'm advocating.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is not meant to be in partnership with you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is not meant to accept you or
Mm-hmm.
will not accept you.
Right.
My point is to be able to see people
Mm-hmm.
as part of the whole and deal with them as such, deal
Mm-hmm.
with them accordingly. Because it's not about what they do,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about who they are,
Mm-hmm.
it's about how you show up in
Yeah.
relationship to them. Because you can't control anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I
I hear
can't
you.
control anybody. I can control my responses. I can control how I see you. I can, those type of things. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that has really helped me, um,
Mm-hmm.
and really getting over the idea. Part of that too is we just like to be liked, right? We
Yeah.
love to be liked, and part of uh, my journey when I got to this space, and I'm so grateful is uh, the need to not be liked or accepted by everybody.
Okay.
Be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wow.
get along with a lot of people, Jay.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah. But realizing and letting go of the need to be liked and accepted is very
Mm-hmm.
different to just being liked and accepted.
Okay. Let me jump in here real quick too, Frank, because I want to touch on that what you just brought up. Because again, like you said, you get along with. I mean, I honestly don't know anybody that Frank doesn't get along with, right? Like I honestly don't. I don't personally know anyone who's like, screw Frank. You know, what I mean? Like I've never heard that. So coming from that space, right? Coming from a place where you're typically likable, like most people think well of you, or I would assume they do, or they have good interactions with you, right? What type of work did you have to do, or how long did it take you to get into a space where you're perfectly okay if you receive something that's not the norm for you, which is someone like, I don't like this guy? Because I know that's not normal for you,
Right.
right? So I'm sure it threw you at first, right? What went into, because a lot of people deal with that, what went into finally accepting that and saying, that's cool, it is what it is, that's just that person and not me?
Yeah, and it really was some work that I've done with my coaches, um, because we are hardwired
Mm-hmm.
to build community, to want to be accepted, all of those things. And most people will deny it. You hear it all the time. "Oh, I don't care what people think about me. I don't," right? Which is not true. It's
Right.
just our nature, right? It's our nature to build community. And although consciously you can say that, a lot of times underneath that is like, I just don't want to be perceived as I want to be accepted. But it took, and like I said, getting along with people and the need and the desire to get along with people, with everyone, no matter who it is very different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a driving factor that sometimes causes people to do things they normally wouldn't do just to feel accepted, right? And so just really digging into some of my my personal beliefs and my experiences and things like that, we're able to uncover some things. And so just being able to fully accept yourself allows you to not need others to accept you. And
Okay.
so if you feel like, if anyone out there is feeling like they're a people pleaser, they compromise themselves in order to get along with others, those type of things, you can get some help for that, because that is not okay. You are worthy, you are valuable, all of those things. And not that I was necessarily feeling those things, but
Mm-hmm.
just eye-opening experience and coaching to recognize how much you have to really just own who you are, and truly, when you get there, then you truly don't really worry about you don't worry about being accepted in the same way. You can deal with rejection, you can deal with the no's, you can deal with not being included, you can deal with those things. You just deal with them differently. Not that you don't experience them, you just deal with them a whole
Mm.
lot different.
Okay. Okay. I got you again. It's about tapping into you first, getting completely centered and comfortable within yourself. And then all the external stuff is just whatever.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you brought that, you made a valid, or you brought a point up, right? The external, right? And I told you, building that social capital starts with the investment in self, right? So that we're so used to um, the external creating a condition on the inside. And over time, over some work and some reading and some learning, and you learn that the internal is where we start, and we allow that to impact the external. You get so dope on the inside that the external no longer affects your internal.
Mm.
right?
Gotcha.
We talk,
Yeah.
happens, you're supposed to feel like that. That
Mhm.
happens, you're supposed to feel like that. And so sometimes you look crazy because stuff is falling off the shelves
Mhm.
and you just there and people are like, why are you not reacting?
Mm.
You don't feel, you don't know.
Wow.
You literally
Wow.
train yourself to choose your reaction
Mm.
or limit your initial reaction, the length that you have the reaction initially.
Right on. Right on. Okay. So it's like walking into discussion or to a greater degree argument, anything like that. You can walk in with an already preconceived set of parameters, right? It's like, okay, cool. We're going to walk down this path. We're going to try to work this out. We're going to try to figure out this issue. That's cool. But once it gets here, or I see this conversation going in this direction, my energy isn't lining up with that. All right. So okay. So if you cool coming back to center, we good. But if you
Right.
want to go all the way left, it's cool. Let me holler back at you when we can try this again. All that
Absolutely.
good stuff. Okay.
Absolutely. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect, let me bring it back to, the fitness or the athletic perspective, right? You think about going into a big game, right? Most people tell you you're supposed to be hyped for this game, right? You gotta get up for this game. You gotta lose your mind for this game, right? But it depends on what works for you, right? I might not allow that the rah rah to stir me up on the inside because I want to be calm. I want to be focused. Those are the things that help me. So the practice is no matter what is going on, right? I'm gonna go Bible here for a minute.
Right
When
on. Right on. Good.
when the storm was raging,
Mm-hmm.
right? Jesus like, what is y'all worried about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
kind of having that mindset of like when the outside is raging,
Mm-hmm.
what are you choosing internally to be focused on?
Wow.
What is your internal landscape? No matter where the wind is swirling on the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time we see the wind stirring and we start stirring on the inside. Right? We're reacting to it.
Right.
That's
Right.
what, that's what we've been taught.
Hmm.
Model that.
Hmm.
We practice the awareness. We get to say, I get to choose what is in here. That doesn't change the outside necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
not right away, but I get to choose. The old question, what are you worrying about? And
Mm-hmm.
someone says, I'm worrying about this. Well, can you change that? No. So why are you worrying about it?
Wow.
Can you change that? Yes. Okay. So why are you worried about it? Go change.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that principle, right?
I got you. Right on. Okay, very cool. So it's like one way or another, we can choose, right? Like you said, the external stuff. So I can either let the external frazzle me and I end up modeling the behavior of what's going on outside of me. Like you said, I start twisting and turning inside myself. Or I can decide there's enough in me that I can actually either overpower the external or weather it,
Right.
right? Either way. Like you
Right.
said, Jesus on the ship, like, bro, I'm here. Like I'm on the boat with you. Like, what are we talking about?
Right. And the thing about dealing with the internal, right, is you realize like I don't have to do it by myself. Right? There's a power and a presence that is inside of me that helps me with that thing. That is working on the outside, the exterior, the things that I can't control. I can't control it anyway. So why am I trying to?
Wow.
And that's
Wow.
where the anxiety comes. That's where the worry and all of that comes because we're trying to control stuff we can't control.
Wow. So
When
we get anxious and we start flipping out whenever we're trying to exert control over something we don't have the power to control.
absolutely can't control.
But we don't spend enough time focusing on the things that we can control, which is us.
Absolutely.
Wow. Right on. Right. Dang. Okay.
That play
That's
a
a whole
role,
rap.
right? So how does that play a role in building this social capital? We talk about leveraging these relationships. When we are overwhelmed, when we are stressed, when we are anxious, we don't always show up as our best self. And so when we have these human interactions, if I'm stressed, if I'm triggered by you, we are. I think Dr. Brene Brown says uh, we are very good at offloading pain, very poor at feeling it. It's like it's
Wow.
really easy to offload it to someone else.
Yeah.
It's harder to feel it. So when I get the opportunity, I get to offload it. A lot of times in relationships, right? Think about your significant other. You the closest to me. Let me offload this on you. You know, if I'm a boss at the job and I'm dealing with something, let me offload this on my employees. You know, like so different areas. You know, and that's the thing that inner work allows you to be more aware, and it's always a practice. By no means am I saying I'm perfect, but I think the idea of being more aware, right? I'll say mindset on awareness, right?
Mhm.
uh, Knowing yourself, recognizing when you are anxious, you can actually feel anxiety. You know when I like the Apple Watch now because sometimes it'll tell you to breathe.
Yep. Yep.
You
Mhm.
realize you're not breathing rhythmically, like
Mhm.
physiological response uh, to anxiousness and stress and all of those things. And so that goes right into that, the fitness component.
Mhm.
The more we do with our minds, the better we are in our heads, the more elite we are on the fitness and physical level.
Right on. Right on. So it's funny you talked about the sports aspect of it. So it's almost the thing of like getting comfortable doing the uncomfortable work.
Right.
Right. So it's like whether it's, LeBron, or I think Kobe was into it a little bit too, or a lot of the modern players, sure, watching them, it's 10 minutes to tip off. And back in the day, we out there doing the layup line, we doing the drill, we getting hyped, we jumping around with our boys. These brothers sitting over there meditating,
Right.
right? For the for the biggest game of their life, getting right in that circle, man, so they can be cool. And it's like as soon as you brought that up, like they used to call it the yips. You remember that? Like whether it was baseball, basketball, whatever. Bro, you could be a 95% free throw shooter, but if you can't handle stress,
Right.
you hit this shot, you win the game, you miss it, you go home, you over there clanking them. And it's like, bro, you hit these all day, but your mind is playing so many tricks with you right now. Like you seeing three rims,
You
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 know?
know who was the best at that in the reverse?
Mm.
Shaq.
Mm.
Shaquille O'Neal always tell you, I'll make them when it counts. You know, Shaq would get locked in. He'd get
Yeah.
locked in. He didn't want to miss uh, when he uh, when he wasn't late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Um, yeah, I mean it all but play it all ties into the same thing. You know.
Okay. Okay. Right on, bro. So before, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up. Before we let you get out of here, man, let's talk about because I had a few more pointers ahead, but we'll jump into that next time. Break down for us the importance of your circle.
Mm.
Okay, so like real quick, and then we're gonna hop off of here. Just real quick, man. How important is it once you understand how to build social capital, who you actually put in that circle? Like, how has that impacted your life?
Yeah, so you have right, and everybody that you know is not in your immediate circle, right? So you have circles on top of circles on top of circles. So you have your core, right? Kind of your core, your close family, your really, really close fans, probably your core four. There's probably about four people who are like super tight to you. Then you get to about 10, right? And the importance of them, of all of these people that come together, is you get to build, right? You get to build. So relationships are so important when you think about who you can call. And one of the things about it is too, you get to leverage. We talked about leveraging earlier. You get to leverage knowledge, time, experience, the things that you don't know and you don't have time to learn. You get to leverage that through other people. Most Almost everything I've ever done is because of someone I've known.
Wow, wow, true. Yeah.
Jobs I've gotten, projects I've created, all of those things are because of other people. We need each other. We are better together. And so, thinking about how important, how valuable relationships are, if we knew how valuable relationships were, truly were, we would be mindful of how we treated people.
Wow.
Only
Wow.
most people treat people poorly is because they have a poor sense of self. You recognize how important you are, you realize that other people are just as important. And I say all that to say is like your life is a culmination of the people you have around you. That's why it's important. Social capital is so important to your fitness. Think about when you go on your fitness journey, the friends that are going to keep you going, keep you motivated, give you some encouragement are important, right? They can never do it for you, but the people you have cheering you on who can be that bridge for you when you feel like giving up is important. And so yeah, people just so invaluable, man. And again, it's not about absolutely needing to be accepted. It's about accepting yourself first and living from that space.
I don't know. All right, my brother. I think we're gonna leave it on that note right there. I think we gave people enough for today, but we're gonna come back and hit it again. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
Real quick, Frank. Break down how people can find you, where they should look for you, what business ventures you have going on right now, man.
So they can look for me Accelerated Results Coaching on Instagram or at ARC for the win, ARC for the win on Instagram, or search Facebook for Accelerated Results Coaching.
Right on. All right, my guy Frank, we'll definitely be back on here for part 2. I appreciate you, my brother. I know you got to go, man. We'll see you soon. People, stay tuned for the next episode with my man. We're always going to dive into every aspect of fitness, every level, mental, physical, and spiritual. I hope y'all having a great day. Peace. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, bro.